Okay, so in here we've got some ground bait. I'm going to float it up. I'm going to use this as a marker and we're going to put it out there. We've got to decide where to put it first. I don't want anyone to see me doing it either, because well-meaning dog walkers or whatever will think that that's litter, come and pick it up. And in there, yeah, is the stinkiest mix for ground bait. This is how we made it. Dog food. That's a cheap way of doing it, isn't it? Let's stick a bit of that in. And just cut these up a little bit. Netting. Bit of squid left over as well. I think we'll crunch all these up. That should give it a better texture. Also got some of this blended fish oil. Some of these sardines as well. As you can see, it's got all sorts in there. So it's choosing a place. We're obviously at low tide now. The tide's going to come in and then hopefully all this crap will attract the conger. And then we'll come back at night to this same spot. Lots of rubby-dubby. That's how we made it. And then I've got to find a really good spot for this. What's going to happen when a tide comes in, because you don't want it jammed up against a rock, and we're going to have to cast to here. So I need to find a patch of sand where the tide will come in and it's not working against the current. The last thing I want is to do all that nice ground bait and the current to be taking it back out to sea. So you sometimes get clues in these rock pools as well. See, you know, just looking at what might have been washed up and held, or the bait that's been held in the rock pools or in little dips. I mean, a lot of this is just guesswork really. I'm not even sure it's going to make too much of a difference, but so ideally what I'm looking for is that little patch of sand where I can put it down, weight it up, and hopefully it should be alright. The other problem, of course, is just on the low tide, I don't want the dogs to get it. I think here I've found what I'm looking for. Oh look, actually, while we're here, that's not a bad little find, is it? Some 3 ounce weights, 2 ounce weights. Brilliant. So this is it, this is our spot. Come back. There's about 300 people watching, so they'll either come back and think I'm doing litter, dropping litter, or the secret's out. Looks like bait will be held up in here, and I'm actually looking over the ground that I'll be fishing over in the pitch back later. But hopefully that's obviously underwater there now, so well, hopefully that's the edge of the reef as well, and although we're right on low tide, hopefully those seagulls won't come in and obliterate it. We'll have to wait and see. There is actually a nice little dip here as well. That could be handy. I wonder whether the food will hold up in there. Great. So what I'm going to do is come back when the tide's covered up a little bit, and then hopefully there's enough water for these conger to come in. Who knows? I feel a lot more confident though, knowing the ground and knowing what's here. I think that helps. And there we go, tide's just coming in. It's getting my bum wet. So I'm going to go home, cup of tea, have some dinner, come back when it's dark. Next time you see me it'll be dark. Right, let's get fishing. So it's a bit harder setting up in the dark. Try and do as much as I can either in the car or in daylight at home. So all those baits are made up. Let's tighten that up. So that's £30 line on the Sandstorm rod, 13 metre rod, using mono on this one. And already there's what I think a whiting, have a little nose at it. Let's pick this up and have a feel. No, I lifted it up, nothing on there. Definitely something having a little nibble here as well, but I can't see that milk bottle. It could easily be just out of sight in this mist. Normally, oh, that'll help, putting the actual proper beam on. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. It's the water in front of us. Just a 3-hook flapper then on the other rig. Ideally I'm going to have this second rod as a live bait rig. I just want to see if there's any whiting out there. Certainly something having a nibble on this. Two rods out then. One for the whiting, one for the conger. And then we will mix it up a bit. I think once we catch any whiting we'll put one on for the conger. There is a real sort of, I suppose there's an outside chance of a ray here. Realistically though, I'll be happy with a big whiting. So it's got a bit of a twist in the line. The whiting, I think, have been having a little pop at that one. You can see. And then because we've got using these quick links, it's easy just to put those ready-made rigs straight onto that. It's ready baited as well, and then we can look at making up another bait. That's been in about 20 minutes. Now that's looking nice and juicy, isn't it? That's looking clipped on there on that pulley pennel. Come on, Mr. Conger, where are you? Yeah, one of the problems we've got is the sea mist has come down as well, so I can hardly see the line even where it hits the water, even with all these lights everywhere. And I'm actually flicking through my phone just to see exactly where those little reefs were, trying to be as accurate as possible. So it's all a little bit, there's a little bit to chance tonight, but you can see that. Yeah. Well, it's tapping away, isn't it? I wonder if that even is a whiting though. It's very slight little plucks. Should we have a look? Surprise, surprise. A whiting. Well, I didn't put that on camera. Some knobhead has just walked right the way through, clattered into me, the lines, pissed out of his head, and then shouted at me for shining a light to try and tell him he was walking into some hooks. Oh, I've got some there. That was a bit frustrating. That really was a bit frustrating. So it was a slack line bite. What's happened is something's taken that bait and come towards us, come towards the rod. Whiting don't do that. I don't think it's a bass because it really got hold of it. So maybe a little conger, and then it snagged us in the rocks and then let go. Fishing can be frustrating. I was hoping to get one on the camera for you again. Frustration. Came off at the surface. I don't think anything too big, but something we've lost again. So I've packed the other rods away, even got rid of the rod rest. I thought I'd leave this one for a little bit. Just as we're about to go, you see that nodding away? And the issue we have here is quite a big bait. But I'd imagine if a decent conger got that, we'd know all about it. Just looking at this, I wonder whether they're smaller fish. A bit better not, couldn't it? Remember, this is the Cinetic. So inconclusive. We might have missed a conger today, and I've certainly only had small ones this year. This one here was a couple of weeks ago from a nearby venue. But I am hearing reports of 20-pound conger, and although I suppose I count myself as a bass fisherman, I'm quite enjoying learning all about this new species for this area and see whether they winter here as well. As I say, it's all quite new to me, this conger fishing. So I don't think I'm going to be entering the conger club with these, but there are bigger conger on the south coast. So I'd love you to subscribe. Hopefully we'll get a decent conger on the channel for you. As always, thanks very much for watching. If you'd rather see fish being caught, check out the video at the end of this one. For the bass that we've had already this year. Biggest one this year. Just over. That's lovely, look at that.